Ethan had heard the stories about Blackwood Forest since he was a child. Every town had its local legends, and for the people of Millfield, Blackwood was the kind of place parents warned their children to stay away from. Tales of missing hikers, strange noises at night, and flickering lights in the darkness kept the town wary of the woods. But Ethan never believed in ghost stories. He was a rational man, a journalist who specialized in debunking myths. When he heard that another person had disappeared in Blackwood, he saw an opportunity. He'd spend the night there, gather evidence, and prove once and for all that the stories were just that, stories. Armed with a flashlight, a camera, and a recorder, Ethan set out as the sun dipped below the horizon. The wind whispered through the trees, and as he stepped onto the forest floor, a strange hush fell over the woods. It was an eerie silence, as if the very trees were holding their breath. The first signs. As Ethan walked deeper into the forest, he noted how quickly the sounds of the outside world faded. No rustling animals, no chirping crickets, just the crunch of his own footsteps. He turned on his recorder. 9:42 p.m. Entering Blackwood. Nothing unusual so far, just a little too quiet. He continued on, scanning the area with his flashlight. A sudden rustling behind him made him spin around, but the light revealed nothing. Just trees and shadows. Then, faintly, he heard it. A whisper. It was distant, carried by the wind, but unmistakable. He strained to listen. "Help. Me." Ethan's breath hitched. His logical mind told him it was just the wind, but deep down, something about the voice unsettled him. He pressed forward, his heart thudding a little faster. The figure in the dark. He reached a small clearing and set up his camera, adjusting it to capture the dense woods around him. As he scanned his surroundings, his flashlight flickered. Then, just for a moment, he saw something. A figure, standing among the trees. It was barely visible, shrouded in the darkness, but Ethan was sure it was there. A tall, gaunt shape with hollow eyes that seemed to glow faintly. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound, it just watched. Ethan's mouth went dry. He aimed his flashlight directly at it. And it was gone. His pulse pounded in his ears. What the hell? He checked his camera, but the screen showed nothing unusual. Taking a deep breath, he decided to move forward. Maybe it was his eyes playing tricks on him. The tree with no bark. As he continued deeper, he found something strange, a massive tree with its bark stripped away. The pale, smooth wood beneath was covered in symbols, carved deep into its flesh. The markings weren't random, they followed a pattern, something old and ritualistic. Ethan ran his fingers over the carvings, feeling their depth. His flashlight dimmed again. A gust of wind rushed past, carrying the whispering voices once more. "You shouldn't be here." He stumbled back, his breath coming in sharp gasps. The tree seemed to pulse under his touch, as if it were alive. Then, his recorder crackled. "Leave." A single word. A whisper, but not carried by the wind this time. It came from the recorder itself. Nowhere to run. Ethan turned on his heel and started back toward the entrance, moving fast. The path seemed different now, twisting and unfamiliar. His flashlight flickered, and every time the beam wavered, shadows stretched unnaturally long, shifting as if they were alive. Then, he heard footsteps behind him. Not just one set, many. He whipped around, his flashlight illuminating nothing but empty forest. But the footsteps continued, circling him, closing in. Panic clawed at his chest. He broke into a run, his breath ragged. The trees blurred past, and just as he thought he saw the edge of the forest, a figure stepped into his path. Tall, emaciated, its skin stretched too tight over its bones. Its eyes were black voids, and its mouth was too wide, filled with jagged, broken teeth. It reached for him with clawed fingers. Ethan screamed and stumbled backward, falling hard against the cold earth. His flashlight shattered on impact, plunging him into total darkness. Whispers surrounded him, rising into a chorus of hissing voices. "Stay with us. Forever." The last recording. Days later, Ethan's camera was found near the edge of Blackwood. The footage was mostly static, but near the end, there was a single, chilling frame. Ethan's face, frozen in horror, as dark hands reached out from the shadows to pull him into the trees. His body was never found. And the whispers in Blackwood never stopped.